Hi friends, fellow FPL nerds and everyone else in between. Game week 21 has seemed like the longest game week in history so far, and it's still not over. And I'm recording this before the Brighton Wolves game, so I haven't got a complete score yet, and my green arrow may turn into red. Who knows? But either way, I have a few minutes spare, so I'm going to make a video. I tend to try and have a bit of a different team from everyone else. So I'll look at how it's going and see what future plans I may do. Let's have a look. So first off, the website that I use to look at my score as it's going on is livefpl.net, and I really like this site because, well, for one thing, you can you can look at your score during a match week, and it kind of updates what's happening during the match. It can be a bit of a pain because you're almost like when someone scores and then they've currently got bonus points and you start to think, yes, I've got a green arrow, and then obviously that player gets sent off and it no longer counts. But yeah, I love the website, and it's so if you've not used it, check it out. It's a really useful one. They've just put in some new features as well, and one of the features I quite like is this one, where it shows you how many other teams in the top million have exactly the same team as yours, and that includes captain. And I'm one in a million, so I'm sure there's quite a few people like that. But I'm the kind of player that I don't really like to go template, so I like to be a bit different. Sometimes for the sake of it, some people might say. And the only surprising thing is that I'm actually in the top million. I mean, you don't have to be in the top million for this feature to work. It just shows you all the other teams that are in the top million that have the same one as you. So yeah. Anyway, so I'm currently on a green arrow, which is some maybe surprising. So this is the team so far this week. Obviously the Brighton game to play, so I do have Gross. Hopefully you can score some points. I know a lot of people have Estupinian. Maybe some people have someone like Acuna or a Neto perhaps. So obviously my rank could change, but I've got a small green arrow at the moment, 65 points. Really happy with that. Could have been better, could have been a lot worse. The defensive did okay, apart from Trippier, who's been a bit awful recently. Not the best fixture that he had, so a 1 pointer. There's some rumours that he may be leaving, and I think it's to do with Newcastle financial fair play, possibly. Also, Wilson is another one who's been linked away. I think he was linked with Atletico Madrid, and Trippier possibly with Bayern Munich. That sounded made up to me, but it sounds like perhaps maybe it's not, and it's possibly to do with financial fair play, and they need to maybe generate some cash. So if he does leave, that makes it interesting. It's probably an easy switch to go to someone like Livramento or another Newcastle defender if that's the case. Colwell got me 7 points, which was nice. Sleeper 6. Wrong defender here because Gabriel got 27 million points. Did he get about 18 points, something like that? I think he scored twice, didn't he? And did he get a goal taken off him? I didn't actually get to watch that match. I haven't seen the highlights yet. So I know a lot of people have Gabriel, and if you do, then you've probably got a green arrow, I would imagine. So well done to you if that's the case. Richarlison scored again. Yeah, he's doing well. It's going to be interesting when Son's back. Now they've got Werner, and it looks like Madison is on his way back soon as well. Kulusevski's also injured currently, I think. So they're going to have some competition for the attacking places. I think he'll still play. He's playing well at the moment, and glad I brought him in a few weeks ago. Palmer, 10-pointer. I was going to put him as my captain. And then when he scored 10 points, I was a little bit worried because I had Darwin as my captain. Um, you know, it's a that's you you can't really predict. I mean, Palmer got a penalty, one goal, got 10 points. Darwin scored twice and he got 11 points because he got a yellow card. The only thing is about Darwin is he does seem to rack up these yellow cards which take points off of him and possibly take bonus off of him. If you had Jota this week, you were laughing because he scored 2 goals and got all the bonus points, and he's a midfielder. So and they kept a clean sheet as well, didn't they? So you would have got that point as well. So if you'd captained him, you were well away. Watkins has been a little bit of a disappointment recently. He's a possible one to move out, but at the same time, he has decent fixtures coming up. So I'm not sure whether it's worth doing that, and it depends on what my future moves are going to be. Oh, I missed out Garnacho, did nothing, got 2 points. And Jesus did get an assist, so he got 5 points. So can't really complain there so far. Hopefully, Gross scores a load of goals or does something in tonight's game, and I get some more points. But we'll see. So going into game week 22, I have £7.6 million in the bank. I wish I really had that. And 2 free transfers. So a few options, a few different directions I could probably go in. Areola, I think Areola came off at the end of the game. So I need to just check to see if he's actually injured. I didn't. I'm not sure whether he is, but I think he came off for Fabianski. So if you know what happened with that, let me know. I haven't seen anything. Don't know if he's out long term. If he's not, and if he's fine, then I would probably play him against Bournemouth rather than play Dubravka against Aston Villa. Saliba against Nottingham Forest away, and hopefully Arsenal can get another clean sheet. Maybe Saliba can get a goal. Gabriel was a bit greedy the other day. And Trippier against Aston Villa. Trippier's been poor, but he's a good player, and I haven't really got that many options at the moment in defence. I don't really like doing that many defensive transfers. I prefer the attacking ones, and I think there may be where your potential is for points. Although I have a lot of money tied up in my defence at the moment. Guahi plays Sheffield United at home. Roy Hodgson the other day said that Crystal Palace are in a relegation battle, and they kind of are. They're right down the bottom there. They really need to get a result against Forest. So I'm hoping that they have a bit of a performance. And I mean, sorry, not Forest, Sheffield United. So hopefully they can get a clean sheet. Gross plays Luton away. Richarlison, they're playing Brentford, and he's playing well at the moment. Hopefully he can keep that up. I think he's scored 6 times in the last 6 games. So he had one blank, but there was one where he scored twice, I think. So yeah, he's done, since I brought him in, he's been really good. So can't complain there. Palmer is still on penalties and playing well, and a possible captaincy shout, even though they're playing Liverpool, because you never know when they seem to be getting a lot of penalties. Without those penalties, I don't think he'd have quite the same number of points, but he's cheap and he's a good player, bit of an enabler there. Garnacho, so Man United playing Wolves away. He didn't get anything last week, but he was still involved with everything, and he could have got something. I think he had a shot and that. Darwin, really pleased with the captaincy shout there. It was a bit of a risky one, very risky one, because he's the type of player that he could score 2 goals every game, or he could score no goals for 6 games, and neither would surprise you. He gets in good positions. He looks to me like he's better on that left hand side actually. So yeah, he at the moment the captaincy's on him. I'm not really sure which direction to go on captain, and if I I will be making at least one transfer. So it may be that I put it on the person I bring in. But I think Darwin's an okay captaincy shout. The other one, Palmer, although you could argue they're both not the best fixtures. Maybe Richarlison, Gross, Luton away. Luton not that. They I think they're really real battling side, and I'm not sure that I can put it on Gross, but I'm not sure who I put it on. Jesus, Forest away, maybe. Not sure. Watkins, as I say, Newcastle at home. He hasn't really done it with the points or the goals recently. Maybe he's missing his mate. No, what am I talking about? I'm getting mixed up with someone else. So yeah, he's he could be a possible transfer out for Haaland or someone further down the line. Obviously, some of the Tony came back and scored a goal with that sort of controversial moving the ball before the free kick, before he took it. So Tony's a possible one to bring in. Who else? Alvarez, if they get a double. I think Alvarez is a decent one to maybe look at. But, this is who it is at the moment. I've got Son on the bench. Obviously, he's at the Asian Cup until that's concluded, or until South Korea get knocked out. Trent currently injured. Hopefully that's short term. And Colwell playing Liverpool at home, last place on my bench. So that's basically it. Have a quick look at maybe who I'm going to look at to transfer in. Okay, so some of the these are some of the players that I'm kind of looking at and thinking about. I haven't really got any transfer kind of picked out in my mind at the moment that I want to do. So I'm going to wait for a bit more information and have a bit more of a think about it. I'm not really sure which direction I'm going to go in. I'm not really knee jerking at the moment. I mean, Jota is an interesting one with those goals, but I think as soon as Salah comes back, it may, he always seems to be one of the ones that makes a bit of way for some of the others. So Ivan Toney is one that I was already thinking about. Obviously, I knew he was going to score, and then he's going to be a popular pick. I think his price will go up. I think people will bring him in quite quickly. The fixtures at the moment are not that brilliant. He does have a double game week in game week 25, so that makes him interesting. But they're two of the harder fixtures. I think it's Liverpool and Manchester City. So interesting one there. Still looking at Pedro Neto as a kind of an enabler. I could bring him in possibly. I think he will. I think he's played really well this season, and he's real cheap one. He's the kind of player, and the reason I'm looking at someone like that is at some point. I mean, I've got loads of money at the moment, but at some point I may want to get both Salah and Haaland in, and if I can, and that's difficult to do unless you got a lot of players like that. So Neto's, one that I, if I had a space for him, I'd like to bring it. I mean, I could bring him in for someone like a Garnacho, I suppose, but it's kind of swapping things for the sake of it. And Garnacho's cheaper, and I think he's an okay pick. I don't like to make moves for the sake of it, sometimes I think, yeah, I'm kind of someone who will stick with a bad decision rather than correct it. Maybe that's more the way of looking at it. Mohamed Salah is on this page because I'm thinking about how I may bring him back in. He's still away at an international duty. In fact, he got a hamstring injury, and he's come back to Liverpool for his recovery. So, obviously there's all sorts of speculation how long he'll be out for. It looks like he may, if he's back and fit for game week 25, and if Liverpool get a double in that game week, which I think looks likely, then then he is undoubtedly going to be a very good one to bring back in. Especially if we don't know what's happening with Haaland. Haaland seems like he's just out forever, and everybody seems to, we don't know what's going on with him exactly. So if Haaland isn't back soon, and Salah is, it may be that I'm at some point bringing Salah back in with the money that I was setting aside for Haaland, and in fact, I'm fine with that if that's the case. So I've all the time I'm trying to think about the future moves, and I'm thinking, well, am I kind of wasting this money's just sat there? Am I better off just bringing in whoever I think the best players are, and dealing with it later down the line? I've still got my wild card, so if the worst comes to worst and Mohamed Salah is back and Holland's back and I can't fit all these players in, then maybe I just wild card down the line then. I think that's a viable option, and that's something I might do. So, that's at the moment what my thinking is with that. Next, defender transfers, possible ones. And this is the same slide as we were looking at last week, because as a possible Trent out for Porro or Estepinian. Um, those are still my preferred defensive options. Porro, that's dependent on Spurs not blanking in game week 26. So that's dependent on cup results. But this could also be a slide if Trippier leaves, because if Trippier leaves, they'll have to replace him. So I think I'd probably like to get Porro, preferably, but if he blanks in 26, that makes it a bit difficult. I'll probably go Estupinian. The other one I could go for, if he does leave, is Livramento or another Newcastle defender. Newcastle's defence hasn't looked brilliant recently. I suppose the other way I could go is like Gabriel or Zinchenko or someone like that from Arsenal. So these are possible defensive boring options. Well, not that boring. These two players, but defensive transfers are boring. Let's be honest. And then basically Manchester City players. So Haaland, should he ever be back? I think he's just disappeared, been beamed up to his own home planet or something. I don't know. Yeah, so if he's ever back, then he will be a one to bring back in, and everyone will bring him back in. At the moment, it doesn't seem. I mean, if he comes back, it's not likely he's going to start a game. You wouldn't think, although there is a bit of a gap until the next game. So if he's fit, maybe he will do. I don't think that's the case. So I think he will stay out of the team unless we get news that he's basically starting, which you can sometimes get because there seem to be a lot of leaks surrounding Manchester City's team news. And they tend to be accurate. So yeah, the same boring ones. Yeah, so him in could be a possibility. The interesting one would be Kevin De Bruyne. I think everybody's going to possibly be looking at him, especially if we think he's going to start the Premier League games. And I think he probably will be prioritised for those games. He's been out a long time. He looks really good when he comes on. He scores a goal and makes an assist and all the rest of it. He's an interesting, exciting player. So the move could be Son to Kevin De Bruyne, and especially as they have a double in 25, is it, against Brentford and another team. I can't remember who the other team is that they play, but they play two games. So getting Manchester City players in, like Tony for that fixture, could be a good option. Although I think they do blank the no, they don't blank the next week, do they? So that's fine. Yeah. So yeah, I think Manchester City players will be popular. Maybe a Kyle Walker, or if I mean, Edison went off with an injury, so Edison close to the time, Ortega could be one to bring in if Edison is still out injured. I don't know any more about that, so I'm not sure whether it's probably only short term, but I don't know. So wait and see on that one. And Phil Foden is a lot cheaper than Kevin De Bruyne. He's playing a lot of games as well. I think they'll both play most games, maybe. I'm not sure. But there could be some rotation there. That's a problem. Another one could be Bernardo Silva. And even Rodri, because Rodri will play most of the games you would think. So he's not as exciting attacking wise or anything, but he does seem to sometimes pop up with goals and things. So yeah, all of these Manchester City players, I think it's likely that I maybe bring in Kevin De Bruyne, and if I do, he could be my captain. I think they play Burnley this week, or Phil Foden. If Haaland's not fit, which I don't expect him to be. So Kevin De Bruyne is looking my likely transfer. And he's gone right up to 10.5 million already, so I think he'll be a popular one. It's a bit template though. Have I missed anyone? Is there anyone else I should be considering? Let me know, and I'll see you next time.